Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Alexis Bellino and Carlos King expose Real Housewives of Orange County naked wasted scandal. This week, longtime Real Housewives producer Carlos King and Alexis Bellino sat down for a discussion about the explosive redevelopment of the very infamous Naked Wasted episode of 2008. This podcast episode, teased on King's Instagram, delves into the now 17-year-old controversy that has been brought forth with full force in On the Row, leaving Susan, the viewers, and the women in the center of this story very twisted in webs of accusation, lies, and unresolved drama. Bellino had nothing but tones of apologizing to do behind the microphone. She questions why anyone would even want to dredge up an event that happened at least a decade and a half ago. She calls it a stupid little drinking fest that wasn't really a scandal but just a dumb night of drinking and bad decision-making. She points out all of the contradictions between the accounts given by Gretchen Rossi and Katie Rost, and maintains that she believes both women got caught in these contradictions during the course of that episode. By the end of the episode, did everybody see what I saw? It's like both Katie and Gretchen got caught lying and saying one thing and then saying the other, asked she of King. In contrast to Bellino's view, the biggest objection is how ridiculous this whole lie even is, and they go over them all again. She insisted that the only way for Katie to have heard about this Rufai rumor was if someone involved in it had actually been going around telling people about it. Alla proceeded to drill into one particular conundrum about what Gretchen allegedly said in the back of a car with Judge and Dubrow, and later proceeded to deny it outright in a confessional. Bellino said of that contradiction, she should never have said in the back of the car, "Yeah, I went," and then in her confessional go, "I never went." She entertained the idea that maybe it was slippery mouth from having been drinking, or she was just outright lying, and even though this whole thing is being filmed, it looks like no one ever learns. Hello, there's cameras there, people. You're going to get caught in your lie. The comment section went wild and became a reflection of the unnatural divisive nature of the scandal. Judge was among the first to comment, giving an apparent minor correction from the original RHOC cast member and the original cast of the Naked Wasted scandal. It was actually 17 years ago. Judge's comment then triggered a flurry of responses, with many holding her accountable. One respondent contemptuously retorted, "And you still need to be held accountable," that comment being followed by a trail of rat emojis. And another one drawn out to Judge. The real question is, why did Tamra intentionally set out to get another woman so drunk so that she would make a fool of herself and proceed to allow her son to repeatedly attempt to take advantage of her? This represents a question that has been hanging over that 08 episode for years, with many viewers wondering if the incident crossed the line from a reality TV drama to something a lot more sinister. But not everyone was interested in Bellino's input. Some comments were outright dismissive. One comment read, "Nobody cares what Alexis Bellino thinks," while another chimed in venomously, "Why indeed is you asking HERRR opinions? I'm confused. Don't nobody GAF about her dumb ass thoji cheats." This brings forth the reality about how polarizing these housewives are. Each alum has her circle of supporters and detractors. Amid all the chaos, there were those few fans who put forth more elaborate theories. One put forth the idea of a more calculated scheme with, "I think Gretchen was embarrassed about the past. This is my suspicion. Katie, Jen, and Gretchen made a pact to take down Tamra." This theory posits that all gone wrong farce is less about getting to the bottom of the truth and more about shifting blame for a laid-bare alliance, a continual through line in the housewives' terrain. Regardless of the reactions, mixed at best, to Bellino, many applauded that Carlos King took this route for a detailed, in-depth approach. In one voice, a commenter proclaimed, "This is the journalism I need," alongside King's analysis. This explanatory analysis points to a lingering fascination with this particular scandal. It is not just about what happened in 2008. It is about how the stories have changed, who's lying now, and why everybody cares about this really old story. In Real Housewives, past events never really stay in the past. They just wait to be resurrected at the right reunion special. For longtime fans of the Real Housewives of Orange County, 3 words remain etched into the Bravo lexicon: naked wasted night. What was framed as a wild party scene in Season 4 turned into one of the franchise's most disturbing chapters, one that left cast members, production, and fans divided for years. Now, in an unlikely but potent pairing, Alexis Bellino, who joined RHOC in Season 5, and reality TV kingpin Carlos King, are pulling the curtain back on what really went down that night, and why the scandal continues to haunt the Housewives universe. Rewinding to the scene. The year was 2009. Tamra Judge hosted a raucous tequila party with one objective that became glaringly clear on camera: get fellow castmate Gretchen Rossi naked wasted. The phrase wasn't just tossed around in a drunken haze. It was a battle cry, repeated and encouraged. Viewers remember the infamous clips: shirtless men, tequila shots lined up, Gretchen visibly intoxicated, and Tamra's teenage son, Ryan Vieth, lurking uncomfortably close. The air in the room seemed to tighten as Gretchen's laughter blurred into slurred words. At home, fans clutched their remotes, wondering, was this messy fun, or something darker? Alexis enters the conversation. Alexis Bellino wasn't there that night. She would make her grand debut in Season 5. All cross necklaces, couture, and catchphrases about being blessed. Yet, as she revealed in a candid podcast conversation with Carlos King, she had been warned about the scandal before she ever set foot in front of Bravo's cameras. Producers sat me down and literally said, "If you ever feel unsafe or pressured, you have to speak up," Alexis recalled. They didn't say it outright, but I could tell it was connected to that tequila party. The women talked about it like it was a ghost haunting the show. Alexis admitted that while she and Gretchen would later become close, she initially brushed the incident aside as just another Housewives blowout. "I thought, okay, these women fight. They drink, it's TV." But once I saw the footage myself, no, it wasn't just drama, it was dangerous. Carlos King's insider lens. Carlos King, the self-proclaimed king of reality TV, never worked on RHOC, but his producing resume, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Love and Marriage, Huntsville, gives him an insider's eye for production ethics. When Alexis brought up naked wasted on his podcast, his reaction was sharp. "Listen, baby," Carlos said, leaning into his signature flair. That was not producing, that was exploiting. Period. There's a line between encouraging a good party scene and orchestrating someone's downfall, and they crossed it. Carlos explained that in early Housewives seasons, Bravo executives were still figuring out how far they could push boundaries. It was the Wild West. No HR, no intimacy coordinators, no playbook. They wanted shock value. Unfortunately, that meant someone like Gretchen could be put in a compromising position without anyone stepping in. The power of a phrase. What made Naked Wasted so unforgettable wasn't just what happened, it was the language. Housewives fights are littered with catchphrases. Whoop it up, Jesus jugs. That's my opinion. But Naked Wasted felt different. It was calculated, predatory, and repeated gleefully, as if it were a game. Alexis told Carlos she found the phrase chilling. It wasn't just about getting drunk. It implied stripping someone of control. That's why it still makes people's skin crawl. Fans agree. To this day, RHOC viewers on Reddit and Twitter debate whether the cast and crew should have been held accountable. Some argue Gretchen was a willing participant in the party atmosphere. Others say consent blurred once alcohol and peer pressure took over. Gretchen's silence. Perhaps the strangest wrinkle in the naked wasted legacy is Gretchen herself. While she briefly addressed it in interviews years ago, she has largely avoided revisiting the incident. Carlos speculated why. In reality TV, especially back then, if you call something out as unsafe, you're labeled difficult. I think Gretchen knew her storyline. The cheating rumors, her relationship with Slade, was already heavy. Adding this to the mix, she probably felt it would swallow her whole. Alexis, however, believes Gretchen's silence was also a form of self-protection. Sometimes it's easier to bury trauma under designer handbags and staged photo shoots, but that doesn't mean it didn't affect her. The ripple effect. The Naked Wasted scandal didn't just tarnish one night of television. It reshaped how Bravo handled production moving forward. Insiders whisper that it prompted stricter rules around alcohol consumption, especially when underage cast family members were present. Carlos pointed out that in later seasons, you'd notice producers cutting away from extreme intoxication more often. By the time I was doing Atlanta, we had clear boundaries.